Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. This is the show where kings and queens tell their legacies and on. So get ready for the gems to drop and pull up to the table because we're ready. Welcome back, everybody, with another great episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. Is yours truly, Melly Mel, aka Mr. Unapologetic. It is finally getting warm here in Michigan, everybody. I'm so happy. These hot and cold days been killing me. But today, I can honestly say, man, we have a very special guest. She has actually been one of my superheroes, man. I've been reading her since I was a kid, reading about her since I was a kid. She has made her mark within the educational realm and continue to do so 50 plus years later. And so I want to give all due respect and all praises goes to the one and only Jane Elliot, ladies and gentlemen. How you doing, Miss Elliot?
Well, I'm doing very well. I don't really merit all the nice things you said, but go ahead and say them.
You deserve it. You absolutely deserve it.
Okay, if you say so.
Well, I honestly have done my extensive research for the past couple of weeks, and it's amazing to me how you started. I guess I seen the first video when in 1968. I want to resume when you had your classroom and you was going through this elaborate test exercise with blue eyes and brown eyes. And I just, as a kid, I was looking at it and I'm like, wow, this is amazing, man. I never really thought in this type of mindset as a kid, as a teenager. And it opened my eyes to so many different doors that I never knew that was there. And I want to say thank you for that, because most people will say that, of course, they've been blackballing you because of the knowledge and the information you have. But I welcome it because it shows the truth behind all the shadows in America. And so how did that all start with you?
I was born in 1933, and that's the year Adolf Hitler came to power. And for 12 years,
Wow.
I watched him judging people by the color of their eyes and killing those who had the wrong color eyes. And I listened to my father ranting and raving about what an awful person Adolf Hitler was. We listened to the radio, of course, and the things that were going on were absolutely unacceptable. And my father was furious for 12 years until the Second World War was over. But he never got over the idea that, for God's sake, how could you do that to a group of people based on something like religion or the color of their eyes? And one of the ways they
Right.
decided who went into the gas chamber was eye color. If you had a good German name but you had brown eyes, they figure you were one of those people and you were trying to pass, and they threw you into the gas chamber. Or if you were a child, they threw you up in the air and used you for target practice. Those are the things we heard about
Wow.
on the radio during So and then and I knew what was going on was horribly, horribly wrong, but I didn't think it would ever happen in this country because we fought the Second World War to see to it that would never happen. And
Right.
then in 1968, Martin Luther King Jr. is killed. And I thought, my God, this is what they did in Nazi Germany. And then along comes Dinosaurus T. Rump
Mm.
now. And he is taking his, no, you have to call him that because he thinks like a dinosaur. He has a face that looks like a rump. He has a mouth that looks like an anal aperture, and every time he opens it, he expresses excrement. You have to realize that we are now in a situation like Germany was in and Europe was in before the
Mm.
Second World War. And if you think I'm wrong about that, you need to get this book, When at Times the Mob is Swayed. Have you read it?
No, I've heard of it though.
Let me read. Can I read just a portion of it to you?
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, you got to hear this because people think I'm crazy. Donald Trump's channeling of Adolf Hitler's rhetorical techniques is profoundly dangerous to American democracy, not because of Trump's ideas, wrong-headed as they may be, his ignorance, profound as it is, or his disdain for people who do not look or sound like him, ugly as he makes it appear. It is dangerous because the 45th president, by following Hitler's playbook, risks unleashing forces of ignorance, anger, misogyny, racism, xenophobia, selfishness, bigotry, fear, and greed that once set free can unravel the social fabric of a nation. And here it says that in his bedside table, in a locked drawer, he has a copy of Adolf Hitler's collected political speeches published in 1941 as My New Order.
Wow.
So when yeah, you got to read this book. You don't realize what's going on or what's being done to you until you
Wow.
realize how really foolish this man is, how really ignorant he is, and how really unable to think clearly he is, because he thinks the way Adolf Hitler did. Adolf Hitler was that is his idol, is Adolf Hitler. So
That
obviously I have a hard time with him.
that's incredible. That's crazy, because you have a lot of Trump supporters and people who believe that he would have been a better choice than Joe Biden because of how strongly he voices his opinion, as they call it.
But wait a minute. Opinions are easy. Everybody has some, and they're cheap. You can have an opinion without having any facts whatsoever. You can have an opinion, and as long as you're loud enough, people will listen to it. The people who are following Donald Trump do not know what they're doing, and they don't even realize that during his 4 years, we were in worse shape in every way than we are now, because it has taken us 3 years for Joe Biden to bring us at least a little ways back from what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump's main aim was to enrich the coffers of the wealthy and to take it from the rest of us. And if you think you just have to read Bert Newborn's book. It's
I'm gonna get that
absolutely
book.
fantastic.
That
Get that
passage
book.
alone caught me.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. And to hear that, in the details of how he thinks and responds, and thinking about what I see on national television when he talks and everything that's going on in America, it goes hand in hand. You kind of it's like a reflection of the past.
Right. He didn't learn positive things from the past. The man wants to be a king.
Mm.
You've got to there has to be a lineage in order for you to be a king, and it can't be from idiot to the crown, to the throne. It's just when he was inaugurated and I listened to his words, I thought, my God, this sounds Hitlerian. Can that be? And then I told myself, you're exaggerating, Jane. That isn't what's happening. And then I read Bert Newborn's book, and I wasn't exaggerating. I wasn't imagining. I was
Yeah.
seeing what my father saw in 1933. And then I was raised on a farm in northeast Iowa where there were no people other than what we call white. It took me 50 years to realize that there are no white people, and there are no black people, and there are no yellow people, and there are no red people. We are all shades of brown, and we are all 30th to 50th cousins. There are no white people. We do not exist. That isn't, it's just, and I think people don't realize where this whole thing came from. During the Spanish Inquisition in the 14 and 1500s, a man named Torquemada, who was a general in the military, decided he was determined to turn everybody into Catholics. And he was going to kill people who weren't Christians and turn the Christians into Catholics. He had killed 2,000 people. Yeah, he had killed 2,000 people, almost 2,000 people, before somebody reminded him that many of the people he had killed were Christians. And then he realized you can't tell what a person's religion is by looking at them. So he had to find a way to determine who deserved to live and who deserved to die just by looking at them. So he decided he'd set upon skin color. He called the lighter brown skinned people white, because white is the color of purity and goodness. He called the darker skinned brown people black, because black is the color of savagery and evil. Now, he put us at polar opposites by doing that. White people are pure and good. Black people are savage and evil. So it makes good sense for white people to kill black people, because you're getting rid of savagery and evil. That has been going on ever since the 1500s. Now, the word race, people say to me, well, it's always been this way. No, it hasn't. The word race, to mean a specific group of people, came out of France in 1580. Before that, there was no word race, meaning a specific group of people. This hasn't been going on for thousands of years. This has been going on for less than 500 years. Now,
Wow.
think about that. The idea of black and white people has been going on for less than 500 years. Did you realize that Jesus was an Ethiopian Jew and that he
Yep.
had curly, kinky, woolly hair and feet of bronze? Now, what we call white folks don't want to kneel and pray to somebody who has
Right.
kinky, woolly hair and feet of bronze. So we did what we call so-called white people do. We changed the environment to fit our needs. That's one of
Mm,
the main differences between what we call white people and what we call black people. When white people come into a new environment, they immediately change the environment to fit their needs. When black
mm,
people, as we call them, come into a new environment, they change their needs to fit the environment. And that's exactly what people have been doing in this country for the last 300 years. It's time to put a stop to this nonsense. You and I are 30th to 50th cousins because if we trace our DNA back far enough, we both came from the same place, a country on the continent of Africa. And the only, yeah,
I like it.
and I know that, yeah, well, hey, ye shall know the truth and the truth shall set ye free. I'd like to be freed of the shackles of racism.
Amen. Amen.
A, a women, a women. You got to stop saying amen.
Oh
A
yeah,
women.
a women, a women.
The
But
whole thing is ridiculous.
I and it's crazy because you've been telling the truth for decades. For example, you were a guest on the Oprah Winfrey Network. You was on CNN. New York Times did a piece on about you. NBC News. I mean, the list is vast, and it's like, do you feel like you made a big impact in the years that you have been dedicated to speaking the truth and telling people the truth? Does it seem like
Did a
things
whole lot.
have changed?
Wait a minute. Did a whole lot of people vote for Donald Trump? Then
Yes.
I haven't made a big enough difference. Then I haven't made a big enough difference.
Mm.
As long as 40% of the Republican Party, and you can't call it Republican Party because Donald Trump knocked the L out of the word Republican and turned it into Republican because of his fascination with the pubic area. And I'm not making that up.
Oh man, that's accurate.
Well, yes, we have to realize that if that many people will vote for that ignorant and individual
Hmm.
presidency of the United States, people aren't listening. They are
Mm.
listening. They don't believe what I'm saying. Or if they realize that I'm telling the truth, they don't want to admit it. Because the number one fear in this country today is the fear of white male, what we call white males, because they know that they are soon going to be, within 20 years, they will be a numerical minority in the United States of America. And they will do anything they have to do to not become a minority, because we know how we treat minorities. So what
Mm.
they're going to do is put someone in power who will put a wall on the southern border of the United States and say, before he builds the wall, we've got to keep those brown skinned people out of here because brown skinned people reproduce too rapidly. He said that before he built the wall. And then he turned around and said, we've got to stop these abortions. So he closed as many Planned Parenthood clinics as he could because he's so idiotic as to think that the only thing that happens in Planned Parenthood clinics is abortions for white women. That's not what happens in Planned Parenthood clinics. Planned
Right.
Parenthood clinics are there for a whole lot of women of brown and dark brown and light brown colors, and white, which is a light brown color because there are no white people.
Right.
All women of all color groups take advantage of the things that they can afford to get from Planned Parenthood that they can't get at the local medical people. There's a
Exactly.
good reason for Planned Parenthood, and it is not to furnish abortions to white people. But you see, the man doesn't think well. He only thinks in ways that he knows foolish people will listen to. And
Mm.
only foolish people will follow this man. You need to realize that you have to be a fool to follow Donald Trump.